What's going on, all you couch potatoes and you gym rats out there? My name is Snickers. This is Meat Snack. This is the Snick Snack Sports Fantasy Football Podcast. How you doing tonight, Nate?
I am doing well tonight, Snickers. How are you?
Doing very well.
You had just another great week of fantasy football, not for my team, but for many teams out there. We got a great show for you. We have Katie on the show tonight. We have a new sponsor. We have the recap. We have the look ahead. And Nick, why don't you tell us about the outcome of the bet this week?
Yeah, let's say we got on the board. Ken Walker was the 8th best fantasy running back last week. So that definitely clears the 17th mark that we had set for him. Pretty happy to be on the board here. I think it's going to start a little hot streak.
That's right. So it's been 6 weeks. I believe we have had 5 bets, right? That makes us, I have 4 points. You have 1.
Yeah.
Starting to make a comeback this week. We were discussing Robert Tonyan is on your tight end spot. You have a little bit of faith in him. I have no faith in him. I think he had one week that is not going to reflect the future. We agreed the line. I think he's going to get less than 40 yards, and you think more.
Yeah, Big Bob Tunion's going to get more than 40 yards here. Probably going to get touchdowns here, but we're not going to include that in the bet.
You can get 20 touchdowns as long as you get 40 yards.
If he gets 20 touchdowns, I'll lose the bet and get 100 points on my team. That's fine.
But here, let's dig into the recap from last week. All right, we have a look at last week. Let me pull up the visuals for you all. Snickers, how was the week for you?
It was pretty good. I finally was able to get some usage out of my running backs. My running backs named Ken Walker and Deion Jackson. Two guys that did not start the season, but was able to pick them both up, keep them on my team, and they scored pretty well.
And you came with the victory, is that right?
I did come up with a victory against Nick Adams, a team who I usually pretty good against in general.
I remember that as well. And now we're actually 7-8 right now with a very similar percentage to make the playoffs. And really, this tiebreaker, which is planned to be this weekend between me and Nick Adams, Candyland, which will be posted on YouTube as a sub episode on Saturday afternoon, will determine, am I tied with you and Shane and Matt, or will I be down in the 2 and 4s with John? Yikes. I definitely don't deserve to be there.
I don't think either of you really do, but yeah, it would be a fun little stream to watch this weekend.
I continue to have the 3rd most points in the league, which seems to be a trend of mine. It's not even like my points against is that bad. I just guess it's been kind of boom bust this year. But the biggest moves here, Carson and Ducky are both still down at 1 and 5, and now Kyle and Kyler are 5 and 1 all by themselves. Kenny did fall back. He was trying to advocate for his team, and I told him he doesn't have it. And look what happened. There he is. So, but here, let's take a look at the matchup this week. As I said, me versus Kyler this week was not a pretty one. It was actually close until the end, but then it ended up being 83-98 because his kicker had a big day on Monday. Cortland Sutton had no day, all because Russell Wilson turns out to be trash this year. The Broncos are super boring to watch. So that's too bad. But it was, Jeff Wilson shot the bed, and Will Disley was a risky play, didn't do anything. So it was overall, I think, probably my worst week of the season, which will ultimately. On the side of Kyler, it's not like he had a great week, but he had some serviceable weeks from a number of people. Juju came through in an unexpected way. He did have Joe Burrow on his bench, which would have gotten him a ton more points. So I don't know. I chalk that one up. I can usually do better. How about your matchup here, Nick?
Yeah, it's a pretty exciting matchup. After I saw Nick Adams kind of egged it out with J.K. Dobbins and Elijah Moore, who headed to the news might be getting out of New York pretty soon. I was pretty comfortable the rest of the Sunday there. Yeah, like I said, Deion Jackson did pretty well on Lazard with another touchdown. And overall, my team didn't do like flying colors super great or anything, but I did definitely do enough to get the W here against a pretty decent team.
It's getting into the range where the Jaguars' negative points always fills you with regrets when that happens. But yeah, I mean, not a lot of bad sits this week. Overall, yeah, I think it was a low-scoring week just around the league. As we can see, I think only a handful of teams scored above 100 in this. So kind of a trend in the NFL of low-scoring games this year. Now, here we had a big upset, probably the biggest upset of the week, if not the year. John beating Kenny. So to bring him up to 2-4, 110 points. This has to be the highest John's scored in like 5 years. Off of the back of Player of the Week, Marcus Mariota, Offensive Player of the Week, that is. 2 gooses on his team, and yet he scores 110.
Yeah, I was pretty happy for him. Obviously, Kenny didn't do too poorly overall. He had a couple guys in the teens there, but yeah, 3 guys on John's team really pulled it out for him here, even though James Conner wasn't actually even playing, so that was a big mistake. But
yeah, that was definitely avoidable. Not that he had a ton of other options on his bench, but you got to pick somebody up there. But he got away with it this time. Then we had a very close one between Shane and Matt.
Yeah,
So,
Shane on the way up and Matt on the way down. It looks like here 94-91. See, Shane got away with the win here. A lot of double-digit scores, even though his highest was only 17 points here. Saquon Barkley, and that really hurt Matt because Matt saying on draft night how he really wanted Saquon in the first round there, but he did pretty well. Matt was leaning a little too much on his receivers there. Like I feel like he kind of has to now with Jamar Chase scoring 31 points. But overall, I mean, I think they're both still playoff contenders in general. Shane scoring a lot of points without the record, and now Matt's down to 3-3 as well. So we'll see how these move forward here.
yeah, at the beginning of the season, Matt was looking genius for a 0 RB approach, and now the best RBs are coming around, and he has this terrible. He's playing Tyler Algier and Philip Lindsay. His bench, Cam Akers is not going to do anything this year. Damian Harris is injured, so it's looking really yucky for his running backs. I'll say that. Then we had one of our highlights last week was Kyle versus Nick, the Lowell matchup. Kyle ran away with it as he's run away with pretty much all of his matchups this year. Again, the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, the twins, both scoring 28 points. Tyreek Hill. I mean, those 3 players is all he needs. No one else really did anything, but it doesn't matter. Ducky had one of his better weeks, but it was just no boomers. He's actually been yapping at me all evening, trying to get me to get him another boomer on his team, but I have nothing to offer him.
Yeah, no, I mean, good on Ducky. I mean, his future is definitely looking up a lot better than it was a couple weeks ago. But yeah, it was obviously a tough matchup going up against the number 1 this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would have won against. I mean, 103 is not usually one of the higher scoring teams, but he was in the top half of that for sure. And then we have Katie versus Carson, and this one was between 2 teams I still think are pretty bad. And Katie came out on top again. Is this her last one of the season? It always feels like it's going to be. We'll ask her more about this when she's on the show.
Yeah, but Katie's in 4th place right now. I mean, you can't say too much about her bad team. Obviously, she has a couple guys that have the possibility to blow up at any time. Austin Eckler, Amari Cooper, Aaron Jones. So I think she's kind of rolling the dice here with her team, but it's working out so far.
Yeah, it still feels like she's hanging on by a thread, but her bench is empty. Although Tua is coming back. Gus Edwards, I don't even think he's supposed to play this year. So,
yeah, I should say to Carson, if he's listening, drop Russell Wilson and pick up, Matt Ryan or something right now.
And while he's in the process, maybe you should drop Kenny G.
Yeah.
But he did pick up Chase Claypool, which I thought was very funny. So good on him.
Dropped him after he traded him. Yeah.
Sticking it to Kenny. All right. Now tell us about the news this week. There was some interesting things happening, especially on the Cardinals who are playing as we speak.
Yeah. No, I mean, so a lot of big news there. Obviously, the biggest is DeAndre Hopkins back from his 6-game suspension, the drug lord himself. Is in the game. He's scored, I think, 3 or 4 touches already so far. Let's see how he does the rest of the game here. But Robbie Anderson, after getting kicked out of the game with the Panthers on Sunday, got traded to the Cardinals, and he is playing as well. He's wearing number 81, I saw. So he's bringing back the high-digit wide receiver numbers. Rodrigo Blankenship got cut by the Colts after he was injured all last year, signed by the Cardinals early this week, and has 2 field goals and missed an extra point as we speak right now. Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown, is out until probably December or so with a leg foot injury. But outside of the Cardinals here, Elijah Moore on the Jets was pretty upset they didn't get used at all last week. He asked for a trade officially. He's probably not going to be on the team for too much longer. Dak Prescott is planning to play against the Lions this week at home. I think that's a pretty good lineup, seeing as they're the 32nd best team against the quarterback this year. Cam Akers on the Los Angeles Rams is probably out of town. He's not getting any usage. He's not very good, even though he did win a state championship as a high school quarterback. And the Saints need to win tonight against the Cardinals in order to continue their streak of beating all the birds. No team has ever done that all in one year. And just as an update for all you fantasy teams out there, the bye weeks are the Bills, the Rams, Vikings, and Eagles. So some pretty powerful teams on bye this week.
That's right. Yeah, don't play those players. They won't score points. And now let's take a look at the week ahead. And as always, before we start, welcome on our guests to the show. We have a quick word from our sponsor.
Hey guys, Meat Snacks is back to introduce to you all our new product, Mystery Meat Meals. If you're tired of knowing all the stuff that's in your food, this is for you. Mystery Meat Meals are essentially your traditional TV dinner, minus the labeling and nutritional information that just gets in the way. You may ask, well, what exactly is in there?
I guess we don't get to find out what's in the mystery meat.
It is a mystery.
But thank you very much to Meat Snacks for joining the show once again. I'm glad we could come back within their budget. They seem to be recovering. But now, please welcome to the show our guest, Katie. All right. Thanks for joining us tonight. We figured you might be like to be introduced by a polka.
No, yeah, that's accurate. You've heard correctly.
We know from Matt that you are the best polka out there. So, but the reason we asked you on the show tonight, Katie, is to defend your team. It is in 4th place. It's doing well, but we are making fun of it a lot on the show. And we'd like to hear why your team is not as bad as we think it is.
I think, I have a medium good kicker, which is really all a team needs to be successful. That's the key. The key to fantasy football is drafting a kicker early and maybe 2 kickers,
Yeah, when did Nick Folk catch your eye, your namesake?
Immediately. But it felt a little too soon. As much as I would love to draft a kicker in the 1st round, it still felt a little too soon.
Yeah.
I will say that I'm a little disappointed in the offense in New England. I think they've really let Nick down. I think he could be a lot better of a kicker if he was given more opportunities. I mean, he is Mr. Consistency, so
Yeah, he's got to start kicking from further away. They're worth more points. That's what
he
we're trying to do.
misses from further away.
He does, and he missed for the first time under 50 in 67 attempts, I think, last week.
Exactly. So they just need to give him field goal attempts. If they would just get into field goal range, this wouldn't be an issue. This is my main issue. This is why I'm not in 1st place, is because of the Patriots offense.
That's why you also have Hunter Henry on your team, it looks like.
Yeah, that's a real crapshoot, if we're being honest.
What worries me, Katie, just digging into the data a bit, is that your opponent this week, Fufu Cuddly Poops, has a kicker with a much higher average than your kicker. This
worries me too. But I think if Zappy's the starter, we really have a chance for some more offensive points here as a kicker.
So as long as crappy Zappy isn't too crappy, you think you can get down to the 50?
You guys actually think Zappy's the worst option?
No,
out of
Nate
the
thinks that.
two.
His name rhymes with crappy. That's all you need to know.
Nate doesn't like him.
This
Rest
is
of
what
us
you
like
want
him.
for your team. You want them to bench Zappy in favor of the worst.
Mac Jones is the toughest quarterback out there. That's
No,
what we.
no, Nate. Nate. I heard Ben Zappy from the other room on Call of Duty. I had to intervene.
He said crappy Zappy.
That's all right.
Bailey Zappi's the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots until he fucking loses.
You heard it here
Ben's
first.
fucking the Alabama quarterback. Give me Western Kentucky.
Give me Western Kentucky.
It's a very popular phrase.
That's why Matt makes millions of dollars, to make coaching decisions like that.
I agree. Unfortunately, I don't agree with his call on crappy Zappy, so we'll have to see who's right. But now we have to discuss some of the other matchups this week too. We have who's your matchup?
Oh, I mostly just wanted to say mean things about Kyle.
Kyle's, I think, gonna blow you out of the water, Katie. I hate to say it. Right now, they have him losing only because they think the Arizona Cardinals are on bye, which they are not.
I mean, Jimmy G, really. Like, I don't dislike Jimmy G, but I mean, look at the quarterback matchup here.
Honestly,
But like,
this
let's
is the
really
best
focus
week-
on the kickers.
This is the best week you could have faced Kyle because the Bills are on bye right now, and that's half his team.
Very
Oh, that makes sense as to why Jimmy's in.
Yeah. I was actually surprised he wasn't competing with me for my quarterback, because my quarterback's also on bye this week. But I managed to get the cream of the crop with the Raiders quarterback, Derek Carr.
I have a pretty good bench quarterback. I would have traded you.
I do know your penchant for trades. You definitely came out on top with the trade with Kenny, who immediately dropped the player you gave him. But,
Really?
yes.
Yeah, Carson just picked him up.
I wasn't trying to be like, I was trying to, make a positive move for the both of us.
He was excited about it when we had him on the show, but then he changed his mind right before Claypool got good. So,
Well, the original issue was that I forget what he offered, but it was a ridiculous trade. It was not reasonable. I don't think we had a good, like, 1-for-1 kind of, trade matchup. So it was going to be an issue. Like, one of us was going to have a bad time no matter what trade we did, I think.
But you came out on top on that, even if it's not a starting player at the moment. Now, Nick, who is your matchup of the week?
Yeah, my matchup of the week, I think, is going to be Matt at Kenny this week. Some college friends duking out here. Matt with the great wide receivers, Kenny with the pretty good team overall. See if Jamal Williams still gets the goal line work against Dallas Cowboys. George Pickens, he's getting a pretty young team over there. But I think it's going to be a pretty tight matchup, probably the tightest of the week. The projections are +9 in Kenny's favor at the moment. I'm pretty excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, Katie, now I have to ask you, this is your husband's matchup, and I noticed that he's playing against a 12.4 average kicker.
No, those are both fantastic kickers. Let's be honest. Those are some great kickers. I think Daniel Carlson's the best kicker right now in the NFL. He's like 12 for 12 for field goals.
Yeah, no, he's definitely doing well. He's a good matchup
Koo's
against
pretty good
Houston
too. I mean, it's gonna be a good kicker battle this week. This is gonna be fun to watch.
I agree. I think we can all agree that whatever kicker does better will probably come out on top here.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's all in the kickers.
Now I want to highlight the matchup of Carson and Shane, because Carson is 1-5, but he is actually projected to beat Shane big time. And as far as I can tell, that's not because of some weird erroneous buy thing going on ESPN. And that Carson may actually just have a good lineup this week. You can see there that he has Justin Tucker. I think he picked him first among kickers. That's important. Who knows who Jason Sanders is? I've never heard that name before. So
I had Jason Sanders last year.
I did.
I did.
Oh, you did. Well, of course, that's why I don't know.
I mean, Miami is doing pretty okay. So I think just because there's a lot of probably kick attempts is what's stringing him along.
Perhaps. I mean, he has an average of 6.2. That's half of Daniel Carlson. But overall, Shane does have a otherwise good team. He's playing Kenyon Drake this week, which that could be nothing. We'll see. if Dobbins starts or not, really all dependent on that. But I do think that this is Carson's shot to pull up a big upset.
He has the better kicker, so.
He has the better kicker. And now there were a number of interesting trades that we wanted to highlight too, and we'll see what you think about these, Katie.
Are they about kickers? Because otherwise, no comment.
I see. Well, we might be pretty quick then. Me and Kyle made a trade. It wasn't blockbuster or anything, but I sent him Rashad Bateman. He sent me Terry McLaurin and Chase Edmonds. And I do think I came out on top there, but of course, time has to tell. I think the pretty even wide receivers, and I end up getting a handcuff running back out of it. Who are you picking there, Snickers?
Yeah, I think overall you probably won that. I'm not a huge fan of any of those three players, but I think Rashad Bateman's probably the best out of them. I mean, Terry obviously has the boom capability, but I think he probably won that trade, just getting two players out of one here.
And then I was also offered a trade from Ducky, who was clearly looking for some boom on his team, and he wanted DeAndre Swift, and he was going to give me Devonta Smith and Travis Etienne. And in that case, I'd rather have the superstar than two lesser players. So I declined that pretty easily. And we really ultimately were not able to come to a compromise. So I think Nick is still out there looking.
I'd have to say that I would have absolutely taken that if I had DeAndre Swift on my team. Devonta Smith has big boom capability, and I don't know, I would have taken that if I were you, Nate. I think you would have easily won that trade as well.
I think the issue is, though, that I actually have pretty good depth on my team, and I have a number every week. It's pretty tough to figure out who to start. I have Lockett, who's benched every week. I've had Mostert, who really doesn't play. Chris Godwin hasn't really played, and I don't need more depth. I need someone who's a big starter, and I think I can count on DeAndre Swift as long as I get injured.
Yeah,
I think he's better than either of them individually. Now, you may not have anything to say about that, Katie, but what I want to know is whose kicker are you gunning for, and will there be a trade we can look forward to?
Oh, if I could trade for a freaking kicker right now, I would go wild. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna take a trade for a kicker. Who's gonna trade for a kicker? Also, I mean, like, I have a little bit of a soft spot for Nick Folk, just like the consistency. I love it, even though he's like kind of wishy-washy from the longer balls. But I will say, in terms of like the going for a starting player, I feel like people really want the like, it's really boom or bust with a lot of players, and I just want consistency. Like, I don't care if you're gonna put up 30 points. I want you to like consistently put up like 10, 15 points. That's what I want. Like, you can keep your 30-point weeks. I want my 10 to 15 every week.
yeah, that's a good strategy. I mean, I've been kind of just streaming kickers all year long so far, depending on buys and bad performances, bad matchups. So I wouldn't mind having a consistent kicker, even though Nick Folk is 38. He's pretty old, but
Oh, I just mean consistent players, period.
yeah.
I just want consistency.
Now, if you had heard that Daniel Carson was on the trade block, who would you be offering for him?
I don't know. That's a great question. I'm open to a trade. I don't know how much I want to have to watch Las Vegas play, but I guess I'll do it if I have to.
And
that's the other problem. I don't know. It's much more fun to root for a kicker when I actually want to watch the team play. Like, I don't want to watch Vegas play. Who wants to watch Vegas play? Nobody. Not even people in Vegas want to watch Vegas play.
Well,
no?
I mean, when they start throwing cameramen to the ground, it becomes a better watch.
Yeah.
But I will say that, well, what do you think about this, Katie? If we were able to make kickers in the flex spot, would you be pro or against that rule change?
I think we need to add punters. This is my hot take. We need punters.
We're trying.
I would even take, like, I would love to get a defensive player in here, like draft positional defensive players. I think this is my proposal to the commissioner.
Well, hopefully that some of us can get in touch with the commissioner. I don't know if anyone has a connect here, but
hard to say.
It's not me. But we are trialing the punters in the drunk league that we're all part of as well, and that is pretty fun.
I have Brian Anger. I'm not mad about that one. All the punters are doing like pretty, I don't know, punters are pretty even generally from what I've seen.
Yeah, I don't think it's really hard to predict. I really have no idea how to do that yet, but to be determined. Now we do want to share or highlight the waiver activity here, which I know you have not been a huge part of yet, Katie, but we saw
Too
that.
much work. It's too, I don't have time for this.
Well, that means you can just drop $100 on the best player of the last week of the season. But
Yeah, whose week do I want to ruin? Just let me know and I'll do it. I'm trying to make somebody upset. You know, I'm not going for the win. I'm going for the tears.
I was surprised, Nick, that you spent $9 on a kicker. Why don't you tell us about what happened there?
It did. My kicker wasn't really cutting the cheese out there. He might even been on bye, but I saw Brett Maher on the Cowboys on the waivers, and he's the second best kicker on the year. So I was a little
Yeah, it's not
confused. I
about
know
that.
that goes up and down often, but I just really wanted to make sure I got him, and I have a decent amount of fab left in here. So
He's pretty consistent, honestly.
And Katie would know. I hadn't heard his name before either, but
Well, and like, I mean, like Dak's coming back, so
yeah,
True.
we're gonna be scoring a lot this week against the Detroit Lions.
yeah.
That's a barn burner. That helped me out as well. There was I was surprised. I don't think anyone's actually bid anything on a kicker more than $1 yet. So you definitely were playing it safe. I did. There was a lot of quarterbacks getting picked up this week. We had Derek Carr for me for 7, which was a little bit of an overspend. No one else cared about him apparently. We had Jimmy Garoppolo getting picked up, Matt Ryan, but no huge competition here. Except
What's the thought process behind $3 versus $2? Because presumably you bid $1 because you don't think anybody else is going to bid, but like, why $3?
I think it's all psychological. I mean, you think some people say, $1 is the default bid, so I'll go one more than that because that'll make me get it. But you think my opponent's going to think that, so I want to go one more than that. But you never bid 10. You always bid 11 because 10's too clean.
Okay.
I mean,
I agree with that actually. Yeah.
You're the psychology expert, Katie. Don't you agree?
Nope. If you don't want to stab somebody, I'm not interested.
What's the perfect bid?
Just don't play waivers. That's my goal.
Your team is surprisingly good despite having not played waivers.
Yeah, because I draft well. Okay, show up to the draft, Nick.
Okay, Baltimore Ravens over there. We're the New England Patriots fans. We don't do that.
But now just to end out the show here, in terms of real football, there are some good matchups this week. Not as many as last week, but I personally will be watching the Chiefs and 49ers Super Bowl rematch from 2-3 years ago. I can't remember now how long ago that was.
Yeah, 2019.
I've been enjoying watching both teams this year, so I think that'll be a good one on Sunday afternoon. Who are you watching, Snickers?
I'm looking at the Giants and Jaguars matchup. The Giants are again a big surprise at 5-1, but they're currently underdogs to the home Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 2-4 at the moment. Fingers crossed the Jaguars beat the pants off the Giants. That'd be hilarious, but it's pretty interesting just how they set the lineup and how the Giants are an easy pick to be the team that beats the overdog here. But how about you, Katie? You're going to watch Steelers and Dolphins on Sunday Night Football?
I'm actually going to be pitching to the people that own Red Zone that it's just called Kick Zone. And it's anytime any team's punting or kicking. So
you get the camera on them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those European markets in there, they love kicking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If there's a rugby punter, like rugby style punter, that's like front and center, big part of the TV section.
I think Kick Zone should probably also include all footballs, Canadian, Australian, all kicks.
Canadian football, 250-yard lines. Yeah, let's do it. I'm in.
But no, thank you for joining us on this busy night, Katie. It's great to have you on the show.
Happy to not go to bed at my regularly scheduled time.
And we appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
All right. See you later.
All right. Yes. Thanks again for Katie for joining us. So we are no Caitlin's hot takes today. She wasn't available this evening, but she's very excited to share with you next week. We do have a fan of sorts that sent a review. If you'd like to read it to you all, you'll find that she was very favorably covered on the review and others were not quite as favorably reviewed. Spoiler alert. And so But don't forget that on Saturday, we will be having the Candyland face-off between me and Nick Adams for the tiebreaker. And that will be on YouTube. We will otherwise see you all next week. Have good luck this week in fantasy, unless you are Ducky, in which case you're going down. Good night, everyone.